Hi everyone, I'm sorry I'm late. Today has been a disaster. um, so I'm just going to give it like 30 seconds and then we will get started and we will get our hoop finished. It's not going to take long. It can't take long. I don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to very briefly go over it, and I will suggest that if you really don't know how to finish a hoop, I have two other videos on my Instagram, IGTV, as well as on YouTube of how to finish your hoop. But I just wanted to at least quickly show you what I like to do to finish hoops. It's pretty simple. It's kind of the same as what I've done for the other two, but yeah. Alright, so I'm going to move my phone. Alrighty. So I don't need my hoop stand, but I've washed and ironed my piece, so you can see that there's no little blue lines anymore, and I didn't fluff up these stitches, so they're looking a little bit flat, but that's okay. So as I mentioned at the very start of the stitch along, I was stitching my piece in I think an 8-inch embroidery hoop, but this is designed to fit into a 6-inch. So I have my new 6-inch hoop. I also have this other piece of fabric. I like this kind of beigey brown color because it kind of matches my branding, but it also kind of matches the hoop. So what we want to do is have both of these pieces ironed and put the backing fabric behind your actual piece. Get your embroidery hoop, separate it so that you've got your middle piece, line it up in the center, and this you kind of have to eye off, but you can kind of see like that's the center of it, and then open it up as far as it goes so you've got lots of room to work with. Line up this side of your hoop so that it's in the center, because the other side's going to get squished in, and then just push it on, hold it tight so it doesn't wriggle, tighten it. If you've got one that has like a Phillips head or a flat head, that's awesome. That'll allow you to tighten it. I don't have a screwdriver on me, so I'm just going to do it by hand. And then you'll see it's kind of wrinkly. If I do it like that, you can see how wrinkly it is. So what we need to do now is pull our fabric. I'm going to flip it over. I find that a lot easier to do, to flip it over, so I can use the table to push against it. And this will allow you to like recenter it just a little bit if you're kind of off, like I was when I put it in. I had more at the bottom than I did at the top. And then you can just double check that it's in the center. Mine's a little bit off, so I'm just going to wriggle it that way just a tiny bit. And then you kind of want to like look at it like this if it looks like it's centered the way you want it to be when you hold it, as though it was going to hang. And then the next thing to do, mine's actually pretty good, but if your back has some creases, you want to make sure that you're pulling the backing fabric. And you can use it as many pieces as you want. Sometimes people use felt. I've used felt in the past, but it's kind of thick for what I like to do, so I don't usually use felt. But yeah, you want to make sure that you get all of your wrinkles out, front and back, before we do any cutting. And I'm going to just tighten it a bit more. Just a lot of wriggling, pretty much. So that's centered and in our hoop to be finished. What we need now is some very pointy sharp scissors. I like these ones because they curve. I find it a bit easier to just get in really close. But what we're going to do is we're only going to cut the backing fabric, and we're going to cut it as close to the hoop and the other fabric as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're not going to actually see it. We just don't want to cut like here because then we might see it. You want to make sure that you do not cut this fabric. And so to make sure that you don't, I suggest you cut it like this so that you're pulling it away from that fabric. And this just takes a little bit of time. Slow and steady wins the race. So as long as you've got really pointy scissors, then you can get in really close. You don't have to go out and buy scissors that have a curve like the ones I'm using. Fell off before it trimmed off properly. There we go. So I've got all that scrap bit there I don't need. Get all those little wispy bits off. So now we've just got the actual pieces fabric left over. And what you now want to do, I got lots of bits all over my desk now. I just got these awesome serrated looking scissors that I'm going to use. You can also use just some regular fabric scissors. These are just a flat edge. I usually use them, but I'm like totally keen on using these awesome fabric scissors. So this will just help from fraying the fabric from like fraying really badly, like it has here, where it can easily undo. And to avoid anything like that, if you've got some just regular scissors, is to use something like this, which is Fray Check. There's other brands, but this is just like a glue kind of, and it's designed for fabric, and as it says, it stops fraying. It's pretty strong. It has a very distinct smell as well. So you want to make sure that you're going to leave, like, yeah, that much. You want to have about an inch, so about 2 to 3 centimeters of length. And you're just going to cut that around in a circle. I'm going to try not to cut my thumb off with my super sweet band-aid. I stabbed myself while I was stitching earlier this morning. So you want to try and make this as even as possible, unless you're like, you don't care about how the back looks, which is totally fine. I don't really care about how the back looks personally. And that's our scrap. And then we've got a nice even little edge around there. Then what we're going to do is get some floss. Actually, do I want to use? Yeah, let's use some actual floss. I'm going to use the blue, the dark blue, just because I didn't use much of it in the piece. and you want to make sure that you get enough to wrap around twice around the hoop. Then that way, oh, actually that'll probably do. I've already got a cut of it. 1.5. That will work. That is usually what I do. I say 2, just to be safe, but 1.5 will work just as well. Then we're going to get our sharp needle. Thread that. We're going to do our quilter's knot, which is pinch between the fingers. Actually, we want a long tail, so I'm going to give it about that much. And we're going to wrap 1, 2, 3, and then pull it through. And that will just give us something to tie it on, tie the other end to. Then I like to start at the top. Some people like to start at the bottom. You can start wherever the hell you want. And you want to kind of go in halfway around that edge. Sorry, and I need to sneeze really bad. Oh, excuse me. So we want to come up through the back so that our first pull is coming out the front. And we're going to do what's called a running stitch. So we're just going to go in and then out and pull it through. I like to do a couple at once. It just makes it go a little bit faster. But yeah, then we do that just all the way around, so I'll do that really quick. Because I am low on time. I like to have the piece facing me when I do this, so that way I can make sure that the distance here is the same, and that way it just looks a little bit more even at the back, if that again is something that you care about. I don't know, I also just like having the piece facing forward. It just feels right. So you will get some puckering, and that is actually what we want. You don't have to force it as you go. But just know that that is perfectly fine. If you've got a much longer needle, you can do more running stitches in one go. I'm used to just doing 2 with the needles that I have. And if you've done it like what I've done and used a colour from your piece, it kind of ties in the back with the front a little bit more, which is cool. I usually, honestly, use this kind of thread. I got gifted a bunch of it. I have no idea. It's DMC, but I have like no idea what it's called. I'll be very honest with you. Cotton pearl. 10 grams. That's not very helpful. Now, what does that say in there? That it's colour fast. Okay, so that's not helpful either. Yeah, I usually use that when I'm doing this backing running stitch. I have like a navy, I have ecru, I have white, and I have black. So it just depends on what I feel like at the time, but I usually just use the white. Good old white kind of never fails. So I'm almost around all the way. And then you want to finish so that you're poked through the inside. and then pull it tight, but not too tight or else you will snap your thread. And then using the other tail, you want to tie a double knot, at least a double knot. Yep. Sorry, pushing it out of screen. So that's my double knot. I'm going to do one more for luck. And then I like to leave a little bit of dangly bits on the back. So I'm just going to cut that off and make it even. I got all these little bits all over it now. I need to give it a brush. That's okay. There we go. Yay! So that's it. I like to kind of shift my hoop down just a little bit. I kind of like the, you may not be able to see that. I like the piece kind of sitting further away from the edge of the hoop. And that actually helps it sit a bit flatter, because this side of the hoop is flush, because you are going to have a little bit of bounce from the running stitch. I haven't figured out a way to avoid that personally, but I feel like pushing my hoop down definitely helps with that. So, but that's it. Yay! Sorry. There we go. So that's our piece. I hope you had fun. I hope this made sense. I hope, yeah, you've enjoyed stitching this along. Here's my test stitch, so I've got 2 now. Woo! As you can see, I didn't do the backing. It actually is it's not flipped on Instagram when I show it that way. But yeah, I've got my 2 pieces now, and this is what the backing looks like. Because I've only done 1 piece of fabric, you can kind of see through. I think that looks nice. You can do multiple pieces of fabric behind there so that you don't see it if you prefer that look. It's totally up to you, but that's a really simple way of how to back your hoop so that it looks a bit more finished, I guess. But yeah, ta-da! Thanks so much for being patient with me with my stream being a bit late today, and this whole stitch along being a little bit difficult to get started, especially. I really appreciate everyone's kind words, and I love seeing everyone's work in progress. So if you are working on it, do tag me or do the hashtag TLKSAL, and I'll be able to see it. But otherwise, thanks so much, and I have the next stitch along designed, and it is going to be a little bit different in how it's presented. So I'm going to try something different over the summer because my kids aren't going to be in school, and we're moving and everything's changing in my life. So just keep an eye out, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and I'm on Ko-fi or Coffee, depending on how you pronounce it. And if you are a supporter on Ko-fi, whatever, you'll actually be able to see the stitch along that's coming up. Supporters have had a preview of what it looks like, so that's exciting. Otherwise, awesome. See you later, and have fun stitching. Bye.